We dropped 10 grand vibe coding a project, burned through tokens like a fucking teenager with their parents' card on a stag weekend. And by the end of it, do you know what I did? I went back and renewed the SaaS subscription I was trying to replace, because the loudest, most confidently wrong opinion in technology right now is that vibe coding is going to kill software as a service. Well, it's not. It's going to kill your weekends. Because here's the inconvenient bit, because everyone, and I mean everyone from the LinkedIn philosophers to the VC capitalists who haven't shipped a line of code since the Bush administration, well, they're all telling you that because Claude and Cursor can spit out a working prototype in 20 minutes, that the entire SaaS industry is about to collapse like a souffle in a slammed door. And that is, and I say this with great affection, total bollocks. Because what's actually happening, in my mind, is far more interesting. And if you make build versus buy decisions for a living, well, you're going to need to hear this before you cancel yet another subscription out of sheer ideological enthusiasm. You see, I'm John Bacon, and I spent the best part of 3 decades in this industry. I used to be a developer, a pretty bad developer, if I'm being honest with you. And now I run a company called StateShift, where we help companies do go-to-market with technical audiences who hate being marketed towards. This means that I work with a lot of founders, marketers, and heads of growth who make some pretty expensive mistakes roughly every Tuesday. So let me save you a Tuesday. Here's the thesis. Vibe coding is real. It's genuinely transformative, but it's not lowered the cost of software. It's simply moved the cost. You see, the 2 scarcest resources in any business are time and money. Vibe coding takes the money cost, engineers, project managers, the whole pantomime, and converts it into tokens, which are cheap. Brilliant. Except it then quietly hands you back the time bill, and the time bill is bloody enormous, because the hard parts of software were never the typing. The hard parts are the requirements, the product design, the architecture, the integration, and the security, none of which a large language model has the faintest clue about in your specific context. Now, I've got the receipts here. We spent thousands on Claude Code building a niche internal tool at StateShift. The initial results in an afternoon were magnificent. They were intoxicating, the kind of demo that kind of makes you want to fire your engineering team and become a yoga instructor, right? But the actual usable final product, weeks. And remember, I used to do this for a living. If a former developer with a team of specialists takes weeks, what do you think happens when a marketing director with a Claude subscription tries to replace their CRM on a Saturday afternoon? Exactly. They emerge on Monday, pretty broken person with a half-built database that thinks every customer is named undefined. Now, contrast this with how we build at StateShift. Our internal agentic control plane, the thing that runs a huge chunk of what we do, helping clients to build movements and accelerate their time to results. Well, this has got a vibe-coded front end because UIs benefit enormously from rapid iteration, but it's also got an engineered backend because the backend handles security, data integrity, and the genuinely specialist work where one bad architectural decision costs you 6 months. That is the pattern. Vibe the surface, engineer the spine. And anyone telling you otherwise, in my mind, is basically just selling you a course. And the data, mercifully, agrees with me. Retool's 2026 build versus buy report found that 35% of teams have replaced at least one SaaS tool with a custom build, and 78% are planning more in 2026. Sounds like the death of SaaS, doesn't it? Well, read the next page, because they're not abandoning software. They're building lightweight tools next to the heavy ones that they're paying for. The shape is changing, not the demand. Now, if you stuck around this long, this is the bit that will probably upset some of the LinkedIn crowd. You see, Menlo Ventures 2025 State of Generative AI and Enterprise report, rolls off the tongue, showed that the build versus buy ratio flipped from 53% buy in 2024 to 76% buy in 2025. Companies tried building their own AI. They got humbled. Total enterprise spending on generative AI hit $37 billion in 2025, a 3.2x jump from the year before. And 76% of those AI use cases were bought from vendors rather than built in-house. The harder the technology, the faster enterprises run back to the people who actually know how to build it. Now, here's the steel man, because the smartest version of the opposite argument comes from people like Matt Hopkins, who calls late 2025 the compiler moment, the threshold where AI coding stopped being an unreliable intern and became genuinely transformative. And he's right. I'm not pretending that the tools are bad. They're bloody amazing. But read what Hopkins actually says, because everyone quoting him misses the punchline. The bottleneck didn't disappear. It moved from execution to decision-making, from who can type to who can architect. The technology got better. The expertise gap got more important, not less important. If anything, vibe coding makes good product thinking more valuable, because now bad product thinking can ship at the speed of light. So here's where I land on all this. We're in the honeymoon period. The drinks are free, the demos are dazzling, and someone has just suggested karaoke. So enjoy it, but understand what's actually happening. SaaS is not dying. The shape of SaaS is changing. It's changing towards MCP servers, composable components, embeddable bits and pieces that you plug into your own workflow rather than big monolithic platforms that you log into. People will keep buying software. They'll just buy smaller, sharper, more composable pieces of it. And if you remember nothing else from this video, I just want you to remember this. The next time you're tempted to vibe code your way out of a $30 a month subscription, ask yourself how much your weekend is worth, because vibe coding doesn't replace SaaS. It replaces your free time with the illusion of progress. The companies who win this decade aren't the ones who build everything themselves. They're the ones who know exactly which parts to vibe, which parts to engineer, and which parts to just bloody buy. Right, so tell me where I'm wrong in this, because specifically, I want to know, what is the one category of software where you genuinely think vibe-coded replacements will win outright in the next 18 months? I want the strongest case against me, not the easiest one, so get that down into the comments. All right, so if you found this interesting, did you know that your most demanding, difficult, pain in the ass, borderline impossible to please users are actually your greatest competitive advantage? Well, in this video, you're going to discover why billion-dollar companies like Stripe and Nintendo succeeded by designing for the very people who everyone else ignored, and they got incredible results with it. So go check that out. See you there.